Welcome back to Canyonside Chats. We are here to update you about the Democratic caucus in the state Senate. I'm here with my colleague Lisa Otondo, who represents Yuma. My name is Lela Alston, and I represent downtown Phoenix and South Scottsdale. We're here to talk about the appropriations process that is just beginning to start here at the legislature. Senator Otondo, can you explain the mechanics of the budget process?
You bet I can. And by the way, I want you to know Legislative District 4 is enormous. It's also Goodyear, Buckeye, Gila Bend, a piece of Tucson, Tohono O'odham, Cocopah. It's extremely large. So we have a lot of different needs. And so when you're talking about specifically about the budget and the mechanics of the budget, I'd like to explain how it's broken down. So it's broken down into subject areas that we call budget reconciliation bills, and BURBs is its nickname. And each of the BURBs has a subject. So for example, there's a BURB for K through 12 education. There's a BURB for higher education. There's a BURB for criminal justice. And each of those bills details how funds for those areas will be spent in the agencies, the state agencies, or on specific programs. So in a few weeks, hopefully, we will hear those bills in appropriations committees in both chambers, and then we'll get input from the agencies and from stakeholders, lobbyists, and the public. And once those bills are approved by the appropriations, they will go to the Senate floor, where the chamber will vote as a whole, and then move to, of course, the House to approve or not approve the bills. Once they're approved, they go to the governor's office for signing. So
that sounds like a fairly transparent process, Senator Otondo. But is that how it really works?
Transparent is the key word here, because sadly, it's not transparent. The current process, well, what we've seen specifically in the last, well, many, many years, is there hasn't been input by the Democrats. What happens is the BURBs and the policies, for that matter, are all done behind closed doors. And by the time we get to see these budget decisions, they've already been made. The decisions have been made, and we don't really get any input, which is extremely irritating, annoying, because we represent Arizona as well. We would really like not only consultation, but input. The appropriations hearings are similar formalities. You know, that's where we can hear from the public, and Democrats do get to vote in appropriations. But with the majority party having the majority votes in appropriations, well, our input really isn't enough and can actually be ignored. But we're hoping that there's a change this year, and we're hoping that we actually do get to partake in this extremely important process, this extremely important democratic process. Our constituents have voices too, and we want to be a part of the budget.
You may be troubled and concerned to hear this, that there really is no transparency in the budget process, and you should be concerned. When I served here in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was a very different process. We had budget subcommittees that thoroughly heard from every single state agency. And we made decisions in subcommittees that we then took back to our full committees to be voted on. And then the House and Senate met together to iron out the differences. That is a very, very different process than what we have today, that when we show up to an appropriations meeting on the budget, the bill is already drafted, it's put on our desk, or the bills, and there will be no amendments because they have to have identical bills on the House side and the Senate side. And so when we have the majority, I am very hopeful to have a word to say about opening up this budget process to what it used to be and to a situation where our constituents and the people in our communities can actually come to the legislature and let their representatives on the Appropriations Committee know what is important in their committees, rather than having all these decisions made behind closed doors. That's all we have time for this week. Hopefully you'll see the budget process begin in the next few weeks. And when you do, this should help you to understand what is really going on. And Senator Otondo and I, and Senator Bowie, who's out sick today, will be representing you and asking a lot of questions in a bill that we get at the very last minute. So please join us in making your voices known and watching the budget hearings as they come down. Thank you so much for joining our Canyonside Chats. Thank you, Senator Otondo.
Thank you, Senator Alston.